Welcome to another episode in the Cara-cruiser series. In a previous episode of this series, you remember that originally I put this roof light into the cruiser to fill a large hole in the forward part of the roof. It served a purpose, and at the time I wasn't even sure if the Cara-cruiser floated, so I didn't want to spend thousands of pounds on a proper hatch. The problem is, the size 77 hatch doesn't seem to come up for sale used, and new they're literally £2,000. I knew there was still going to have to be a compromise. I kept my eye on the usual channels, and patience paid off. A Lumar Ocean Series size 70 came up on eBay, out of the box, but unused. Thanks to Hugh for entertaining some negotiation, I paid less than half the retail price. Yes, it's still the wrong size, but what I'm making is a section to fill the gap. This is the floor panel I cut out. It's already gel coated in the right colour and a decent thickness. There are loads of holes in it, so I'm trying to find a part of it that I can use. I thought it had it sussed, but I realised that I was clipping one of the holes, so I moved the markings across slightly. Back at it again with the diamond coated blade on the multi-tool. Yes, I know it would have been quicker with a death wheel or an angle grinder, but think of the dust flying everywhere. Sanding off the glue and the damage with a 320 grit paper. Luckily the gel coat is quite thick. couple of grades later and a polish up with some compound, and we're looking good. It's not actually going to go that way up. This way up, and this is what you'll see from the roof. I plan to use various carbon fibre plates during this project, and this is how I intend to do it. This mammoth piece of glass I got from Nick at Burgess Hill Glass Centre needs to be super clean to laminate on, so I'm using a blade to scrape off the residue and acetone to clean it up. Then it's on with a few coats of release agent. I'm doing some small test pieces, but in sizes that will be useful if they're successful. Same as before, a combination of 245 gram and 650 gram carbon fibre with a polyester resin. Carbon is very hard on scissors. RIP these ones. I also prep the scales with a release agent to keep them clean. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have used a fluffy roller here, but I didn't know about them at this point. If this piece is successful, I might use it to house the induction hob, so it'll have most of the middle cut out of it, which is why I've made it quite thick. I'm making a peripheral bag and vacuuming it to the table with perforated release film and heavyweight breather. That's a roughly 10mm Nomex core. It's a pretty simple bag with just a couple of corner pleats. I'm abrading the outside and cleaning it off with acetone, ready for the next plies. You might notice I trimmed some of the core back as I wanted more surface to laminate the closing plies to. Another 650 gram plies wetted out and laid on, then it's back into the bag to cure. I'm pretty happy with that result, so I'm making a series of bigger panels. Now, let's talk about the transom. This is one of the most important parts of the boat, carrying the power plant, the outboard motor. I've beefed it up in the past, but I don't think it's really been properly solid. As you saw in the last episode, it was rotten in there. I'm clearing the way for a mega transom, although what you're about to witness is a little harrowing. bond prep is essential. This all has some relevance. Stay with me. I've made this prototype. It's just some thin cardboard, or not even cardboard, card. This is planning to be the rear deck area. So with the transom there, the deck there, and steps into the cabin. You might remember previously there was a angle iron frame around the outside and just a plate on the top. But this should tie the transom in to the floor, and then the deck, and then those two side the lockers on either side of the deck there. I feel like this should tie it all together, and the fuel tank can go through the middle. This is the best way I could think of to get strength and make use of that space under there. And just to demonstrate with this really flimsy card, this is a risk because this has got all the footage on it. It's pretty strong. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll make some flat sheets of carbon, transfer that onto it. So here we are with some flat sheets of carbon. Also, shout out to Mr. Bratley for this standard workbench. I'm always short of workspace, so this is coming very handy. The next 21st century material I want to show you is this. This is Coosa Blue Water 26, and it's a high density closed cell polyurethane foam reinforced with layers of woven glass fibre and chop strand, which you can sort of see on the surface here. It's lighter than plywood with similar strength qualities, but the real advantage is the fact that it doesn't rot like wood. I'm going to be using the 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch variants for the transom, rear deck area and head floor. Coosa is an American brand and there are plenty of videos on it on YouTube already, but I hadn't seen it available in the UK until recently. Tri-Cell Composites have started stocking it in England, and Brendan gave me a good price on a couple of sheets, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it performs. So far I'm very impressed by how light it is, how rigid it is, and how easy it is to cut and to work with. This used to be one of the rear doors, but I'm going to repurpose it into some clamps for repairing the transom. That was another temporary solution whilst we got things sussed out, but they're heavy and clumsy, and one of them has already started rotting at the bottom. So now they're going to become transom clamps. Well, this one is at least. Just using some simple threaded bar and M8 nuts. On the outside I'm still going to retain that big thick carbon plate that I used before. I'm going to bulk this up because there's a gap behind it. I'm going to build this up first. I'll show you that separately. So overall this is going to be a pretty substantial transom. These bits are going to have a, they're going to be connected across there. So I'll put another piece of probably 2mm or thereabouts, it's always a guess, but some plates in between there and there. They're also going to have holes through the centre, and the fuel tank is going to go down the middle there. I've used 2 layers of 3/4 inch Coosa in the centre, and then because the glass is thicker at the edge there, I've used a 1/2 inch board and a 3/4 on the sides. There's a chamfered join in between there at the back, and then I've just put a cut down the middle so that I could get it in. Hopefully that overlap, I mean the distance between the overlap's nice and big, so I don't think that'll be a problem. And then these pieces are where the floor is going to sit on top of. There's a step there, and they're going to tie into the transom to give some lateral strength. I'll tie them into the floor as well. I was also stacking up this Coosa. This is 4 layers of 3/4 inch, which is roughly where it was before height wise. I'm going to bond them together and then vac them and then sand them, cut them to size and wrap them when I lay them into the floor. Here's a piece of 3/4 inch Coosa, filling the hole where I cut the trailer locating cup out. I'm laminating over it with a few plies of 650 gram carbon fibre, and eventually I'll do the same on the other side. Possibly overkill, but I really don't want the water pressure forcing it out, because that would probably be game over. This isn't a fade out. It was genuinely that dark. I was rushing to get it done before the end of the day. Next time, transom laminating. And the floor reinforcements are tied in.
Horrible. So horrible.
You were just laughing at the trail of fibre.
As always, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions or requests, please do drop a comment below. If you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.